Good morning. As always, I'm 5 minutes earlier today. So if you're watching in recording, you're welcome to fast forward or stay with us through our hellos. As usual, I'm going to check the sound now. I don't understand why. Sometimes the sound is okay and sometimes it isn't, even though I always use the same earphones. Oh, you're welcome to fast. Okay, the sound seems to be good today. But it's funny that every time I decide not to check it, somehow it gets to the point of a problem. Good morning, Joey. So I guess better safe than sorry. Good morning, Mary. Good morning, Jean. Good morning, Zazu. Good morning, Gina. Good morning, Mary. All right, it is time for us to start. Yesterday we talked about starting the practice that can help us get unstuck from the throes of Shenpa, the quality of tightening and closing down when something goes against the way we want it. This practice is quite simple, basically has 3 steps. Acknowledge that you've been hooked. Take 3 conscious breaths, or however many breaths you need to lean into the energy of unpleasantness, reminding yourself that this is okay, this is human. Maybe even saying, how human of me, and move on with your life. Simple, but of course not necessarily easy. Pema Chodron says that the wisest approach to getting unstuck from the habitual patterns is to include this practice into our daily life, today, tomorrow, right now, as long as we are alive, to practice this way of living. And unfortunately, or fortunately, sometimes the only way we learn is the hard way. We might acknowledge that we're hooked, but we still go ahead and do whatever we always do anyway. But if we do this as a conscious experiment, then we can learn from our own mistakes. We can learn from the consequences of our actions. And in her book, Taking a Leap, Pema Chodron describes a situation from her personal life that perfectly illustrates how painful this whole process can be. This is what she writes. Once I was staying at my daughter's house, and for some reason I was feeling raw and out of sorts. In that prickly mood, I received an upsetting email, and the Shenpa, which was already percolating, kicked in with a vengeance. It was Sunday night, so I decided to avoid talking directly to the woman who sent the email by calling her work number and leaving an angry message. When she came into the office on Monday, she was going to get my call, and I just felt justified because I knew that I was in a position of power, that basically I was going to get whatever I wanted because this particular company needed my cooperation. I let that storyline blind me, and I thought, I'm just going to tell it like it is. I'm going to set her straight. And now I cringe when I think of some of the obnoxious, arrogant things I said, practically to the degree of, do you even know who you're talking to? Anyway, then I hung up the phone, and of course I was still in the throes of Shenta, convincing myself that I was right to have called and stubbornly fueling my righteous indignation. And my daughter had been sitting there listening to the whole thing, and the look on her face, I'd never seen anything like this. She was absolutely flabbergasted by my outburst, and it finally brought me to my senses. And I thought to myself, well, it's done. So let's just see what happens next. And what happened next was I did get exactly what I wanted. You could say in worldly terms that I won. But this woman could never see me in the same light again. To this day, she is very polite and businesslike, but something shifted in her heart because she had always seen me as a spiritual teacher. And then she got a voicemail from this neurotic witch. And it didn't do any good to say I'm sorry, which of course I did. I said I'm sorry. So I received a valuable lesson from that. Sometimes we just have to learn the hard way, learn about the consequences of acting out on our Shenpa. Basically, what Pema Chodron is saying here is that if she allowed herself to lean into that prickly energy of Shenpa, when she got that email, if she breathed a little bit with it, her response may have been very different. And of course, it's not about keeping it together at all costs and shove our needs to the curb. Not at all. She could still speak up about what she wanted and needed, but it could have been done differently. It could have been less charged. without this righteous indignation, without aggression. The result would have still been the same, I think, but the relationship with that woman, the consequence, the relationship wouldn't have been broken on this like heart level, so the consequence would have been different. Shantideva reminds us that by putting up with little cares, with minor annoyances, when the Shenpa is lightweight, we train ourselves to work with great adversity. By putting up with learning to keep our nobility, to not spin off, to not reject our own energy when the challenge is fairly workable, we train for difficult times. This is how we prepare ourselves to work with any highly charged situations that may come our way in the near or distant future. And of course, nobody knows what adversity might or might not be coming in our personal or collective experience. Things could get better or things could get worse. We could inherit a fortune or we could get an incurable illness. We could move into the house we've always wanted, or the house we live in could burn down. And at the global level, too, things could improve or deteriorate. The important thing is to know that whatever happens, our situation is always definitely workable. By learning not to bite the hook now, with the little annoyances of an ordinary day, we'll be preparing ourselves to work with whatever lies ahead with compassion and wisdom. So today, once again, let's do this practice of leaning into the energy of Shenpa that's behind or beneath any story that we're telling ourselves. As always, take a comfortable position and take a few moments to settle. Settle into your body, into your breath, into this moment, right here, right now. Easy, no struggle. Breathing naturally and letting all the experiences of the present moment flow through you as energy. See if you can get a sense of spaciousness in your breath. And now bring up a memory that carries with it a strong emotion. And notice if right away the whole story comes up, the story associated with this emotion. She said that, I said that, he did that, I did that, I did not do that. Whatever it is for you, see if you can let that go and connect with the underlying feeling. What does this emotion really feel like? Find its texture, its color, its location in the body. Remember, you're looking for a felt answer, not words. And since this is not something you habitually do, going into the underlying feeling by passing the words, of course it may feel very uncomfortable. So notice if in this moment there is an energy of closing down, wanting to be somewhere else, not to do any further exploration of this emotion, this quality of Shenpa. It's okay, totally normal. How human of me, right? So take a nice breath in and out and allow yourself to lean into this energy of discomfort, unease, this urge to run away, and come back to experiencing, come back to just finding the feeling. It is said that the life cycle of the felt sense of any emotion is only 90 seconds. Our thoughts, our stories can cause the energy of emotions to freeze and to dwell for a long time. So if we let go of the thoughts, the energy can move naturally. Is that your experience now? When you let go of the story, does the energy of your emotion move? Even though the exercise here is to let go of the story and feel the feeling, it's inevitable and totally normal that words constantly come up. This is our habit. This is what the mind does. So there is no need to struggle against words to make them disappear. They won't. So rather use them to help with your somatic experience, with your somatic exploration. Whatever the word is that comes up, ask yourself, how does that really feel like? For example, if the word that comes up is painful, you can say to yourself, aha, it seems like it's painful. But what does painful really mean for me as a felt sensation? Where in my body is it located? What is its texture, color? Is it static or dynamic? Breathe in and out, feeling everything, experiencing everything, resting in this experience. Whatever you're feeling right now, simply sit with it. See if you can, with your breath, create a little bit more spaciousness around this feeling. And remember, you're not trying to breathe a strong emotion away, but there can be the feeling of having a lot of space around it. You might feel less smothered by it. And now gently let go of this practice. As always, scan your body again, noticing what's going on for you right now, physically, emotionally, mentally. How are you? And as you go through your day today, I invite you to continue practicing with Shenpa. Remember, there are only 3 steps to this practice. Step 1 is to acknowledge that you're hooked, maybe even with some humor, because this is not the first time, this is not the last time it's going to happen. Pause, take 3 conscious breaths, lean into the energy. Remind yourself that this is a normal human reaction. Maybe even say, how human of me. And then relax and move on with your life. Until the next time you're ready to bite the hook, you can make this skillful choice not to do it again. This practice will help you make any situation totally workable and to do it without completely drowning in your own fears and unskillful habits. So I really recommend including it in your day. Thank you so much for being here today. Have a beautiful day, and I will see you tomorrow.